What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we got the most painful parasites to die from. We got Loa and Tunga penetrans. What the fuck?
Brain amoebas. Imagine you're a healthy young individual who decided to go for a swim in a warm freshwater lake on a hot summer day. The water feels refreshing and protects you from the harshness of the sun. You dive down, splash around with your friends, and then an hour later, when you're finally finished, you climb out and head back to your house feeling relaxed. At this moment, you have absolutely no idea that something just entered your body through your nose, and that within 3 days, you would develop a severe headache followed by a high fever. Confused and disoriented, your family rushes you to a hospital.
Quick, Morty, grab him!
Rick! What's going on? Well, why are we hats?
Shut up, Morty! Grab the stupid hat!
Ah! Wah! Jeez, man! You just the talking hat!
Morty, it's not actually him, it's a parasite!
Oh.
And don't say that word, we're on a YouTube video. We're gonna get demonetized.
Oh, geez, we're on a YouTube video?
Did you bring the antidote?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! Gamer subs, baby, that's the antidote. Click the link in the comment section and get some anime juice today, boy. Hell
What
yeah!
the fuck
Try
happened?
some free samples today and use code HATSARECOOL to get 10% off. All right, Morty, let's go.
That was weird. Anyways, as I was saying, doctors run test after test, but by the time they figure out what's wrong, it's too late. In as little as 5 days, the Naegleria fowleri has entered your body through your nose and has effectively melted your brain, causing you a quick demise with its mortality rate of 97%. The Naegleria fowleri is a single-celled amoeba that lives in warm freshwater, lakes, rivers, hot springs, and poorly maintained swimming pools. It thrives in water temperatures between 77 degrees Fahrenheit and 115 degrees Fahrenheit, which is why infections spike during hot summer months when people seek relief in natural bodies of water. You don't get infected by swallowing the water. This parasite actually enters your body when contaminated water goes up your nose. The amoeba then travels along your olfactory nerve, which is the nerve that's responsible for your sense of smell.
The olfactory nerve, or cranial nerve, I, is a sensory nerve responsible for the sense of smell. It is unique because it is the only cranial nerve that does not have a connection to the brain stem, and is considered part of the central nervous system. The nerve originates from the olfactory epithelium in the nasal cavity, and its axons carry signals to the olfactory bulb, allowing the brain to process and interpret odors.
And provides a direct pathway from your nasal cavity to your brain. Within 24 hours of infection, the amoeba reaches your brain and begins feeding on brain tissue. The disease is called primary amoebic meningitis.
Primary amoebic meningoencephalitis (PAM) is a rare but nearly always fatal brain infection caused by the amoeba Naegleria fowleri. Infection occurs when contaminated water enters the nose, allowing the amoeba to travel to the brain and cause severe symptoms like headache, fever, nausea, vomiting, stiff neck, confusion, and seizures. While it is a serious infection, PAM is not contagious and does not spread from person to person.
Encephalitis, or PAM. Symptoms typically appear 1 to 9 days after infection. It starts with a severe headache, high fever, and a stiff neck. These symptoms look eerily similar to bacterial meningitis, which often leads to a misdiagnosis. Then comes nausea and vomiting. Within days, symptoms progress to confusion, lack of attention, loss of balance, seizures, and hallucinations. By the time doctors figure out what's wrong, it's almost always too late. Out of over 150 known cases, by the time doctors figure out what's wrong, it's almost always too late.
7 days.
Out of over 150 known cases in the United States since 1962, only 4 people have survived this parasite, making it one of the deadliest organisms on Earth. The few survivors typically suffer permanent neurological damage, memory loss, seizures, and cognitive impairments. But honestly, the most terrifying part is that the Naegleria fowleri is common. Lower. Imagine looking in the mirror one morning at your star-strikingly beautiful, handsome, and stunning face. Get it? Because you're a beautiful person. But unfortunately, in the middle of you admiring yourself in the mirror, you catch the glimpse of something moving under the white of your eye. At first you think it's a speck of dust, or maybe an eyelash. But it's not inanimate, it's moving, like it's something alive, slowly slithering just beneath the surface of your eye. You blink, but it doesn't go away. Instead, you now feel the painful burning sensation of a foreign creature wriggling across the inside of your eyeball. That's Loa, the African eyeworm. Loa is a parasitic filarial worm found in the rainforests of Central and West Africa. The parasite is transmitted through the bite of deer flies or mango flies. When an infected fly bites you, it deposits microscopic larvae into your bloodstream. Stick out your hand and make a thumbs up. The area from your thumb's knuckle to its tip is about how long these worms grow to be when they mature. When they're adult worms, they migrate through your subcutaneous tissue, the layer just beneath your skin, and then they frequently cross the conjunctiva of the eye. That means you can literally watch the worm crawling across the white part of your eyeball. Patients describe the sensation as something moving under their skin, creating visible lumps that shift position day by day. These are called Calabar swellings, which is named after the Nigerian city where the condition was first documented. The worms can live in your body for up to 17 years, constantly migrating. You might see one cross your eye, then months later feel it moving through your wrist, then your ankle. But the Loa doesn't just disturb you, it can be fatal enough to take your life. When adult worms inside your body, they can trigger severe inflammatory reactions. And if a worm is in your brain, it can cause swelling of the brain tissue that leads to seizures, coma, and an untimely demise, which is actually pretty much the worst part. This makes treatment for the Loa deadly, because when you take medication to kill the worms, hundreds of them simultaneously, and release toxins that can send your body into shock, often causing you to pass away faster than the parasites themselves. Trypophobia. The tiny pregnant female flea themselves. Trypophobia.
Yeah? Tunga penetrans.
The tiny pregnant female flea burrows into your skin, usually around your toes, under your toenails, or on the soles of your feet. But once embedded, she begins feeding on your blood and swells up to the size of a pea, about 1 centimeter in diameter, while producing hundreds of eggs. That's the Tunga penetrans, which is one of the smallest but most destructive parasites that infect humans. But the nightmare isn't just one flea. It's what happens when you get infected with dozens or hundreds of them simultaneously as they grow up in your skin, with each embedded flea creating a white, crater-like lesion in your flesh. 10, 20, or even 100 of these is already a trypophobic nightmare for any person unfortunate enough to become infected with this parasite. So you could imagine the horror of having 1,146 of them embedded in your body at once. That's exactly what happened to a 78-year-old woman from Tanzania in 2019.
Background: Tungiasis is one of the neglected tropical diseases. It affects up to 40% of individuals living in societies with poor housing and sanitation standards. In endemic areas, Tunga infestation, which predominantly affects the perlungual areas of the lower limbs in humans, is associated with considerable morbidity and poor quality of life. Case presentation: a 78-year-old woman of African descent, presentation with pain, inflammation, suppuration, ulceration, and deformation of digits of all 4 limbs. She had a total of 1,146 embedded sand fleas, 812 in lower limbs, and 334 in her hands. She was febrile. Her full blood count revealed pancytopenia, and blood cultures were positive for Staphylococcus. aureus and streptococcus from these isolates. Furthermore, she had severe hyponatremia. We applied 20% caeciliated petroleum jelly, followed by the manual removal of embedded sand fleas with a sterile needle. Intravenously administered Perperlian Lazobactam, tropical ivermectin, ferrous sulfate, folic acid, tolvaptam, albendazole, multivitamins, and tetanus prophylaxis were instituted. She was discharged home after 16 days of hospitalization. Conclusions: the classes is a neglected disease of concern in unprivileged society that is preventable and curable. Early recognition, and prompt treatment is crucial to prevent complication in this disease, which may potentially mimic other conditions, resulting in a nearest management.
Oh my God, are you really just...
When she arrived at the hospital, doctors discovered that she had a total of 1,146 embedded
Remember, do not search any of these up.
sand fleas. 800 of them were in her lower limbs, and 300 were in her hands. Her body was riddled with holes, making it akin to a cheese grater or a honeycomb with 1,000 holes in it. Her fingers and toes were swollen, inflamed, and deformed beyond recognition. And unfortunately for her, the embedded fleas had been there so long that secondary infections had set in. She had a high fever, and results showed that she tested positive for both Staphylococcus aureus and Streptococcus pyogenes, two deadly bacterial infections that had invaded her through the wounds created by the fleas. Medical staff had to manually remove all 1,000 fleas one by one, using sterile needles, while applying petroleum jelly first to suffocate the vermin. The woman spent 16 days in the hospital, receiving intravenous antibiotics, tetanus shots, and treatment for severe dehydration and malnutrition. Wuchereria bancrofti. Odds are you've been bitten by a mosquito before. Maybe while making your morning cup of coffee, getting ready for work, or when going outside for a quick run. You feel a slight itch on your arm and absently swat at the pest. Then you think nothing of it and continue with your day. But the only issue is that wasn't just some ordinary mosquito. It was a mosquito carrying larvae of Wuchereria bancrofti, a parasitic roundworm that causes lymphatic filariasis, the disease that commonly leads to, well, I'll get to that later. The microscopic larvae enter your bloodstream through the mosquito bite, and then they begin their journey through your body. For months, maybe even a year, you'd feel fine because the larvae mature into adult worms, which can live in your lymphatic system for 5 to 7 years. But then at that point, you'd start noticing symptoms. You'll develop fevers and chills, your legs will feel heavy and swollen, and unfortunately, your groin area will become inflamed and extremely swollen as well. At first, the swelling comes and goes, but gradually, it becomes permanent. The adult worms block your lymphatic vessels, preventing fluid from draining properly. And because of this, the fluid accumulates in your tissues and your body parts begin to swell grotesquely. This is elephantiasis, a condition where your limbs This is elephantiasis,
a condition characterized by severe swelling in the arms, legs, or other body parts, caused by damage or blockage of the lymphatic system. It is most commonly... Oh my god. I'm eating food here, don't judge me. It is most commonly caused by lymphatic filariasis, a parasitic worm infection transmitted by mosquitoes, but also can be resulted from other causes like cancer, surgery, or bacterial infections. Symptoms include swelling, skin thickening and darkening, and decreased mobility, with treatments focusing on managing the swelling through methods like skincare, compression, and surgery.
Condition where your limbs or swell to many times their normal size. Your skin thickens, hardens, and develops a texture like elephant hide, which is how the condition got its name. Unfortunately, if you're a male, that it hangs to your knees. Like Wesley Warren, a man from Las Vegas struggling with the disease. After being infected with the parasite and developing scrotal lymphedema, his grew uncontrollably. It started in 2008 when he woke up with a shooting pain in his area. The tissue around his began swelling, growing at an estimated 3 pounds per month. For 4 years, Warren lived with a that made it nearly impossible to walk, work, or live a normal life. Luckily for him, doctors were able to help him. When they finally performed surgery on his body in 2012, they removed the swollen mass in his, finding that it weighed a horrifying 132 pounds. Honestly, just think about that for a second.
That's 1 pound more than me! Oh yeah, we're gonna have a weight and height test. I'm 5 foot. I don't know if I'm that now. I don't know if I'm 131 either.
He had to carry what essentially amounted to a refrigerator or even a full-grown adult between his legs everywhere he went, for years. Lymphatic filariasis affects over 120 million people worldwide, primarily in tropical regions of Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. While from the parasite itself is relatively rare with modern treatment, the disfigurement and disability it causes destroys lives and traps the patients in prolonged suffering. Some people in this world aren't fortunate enough to avoid daily conflicts with parasites like these. So if you have access to medication, safe environments, and clean food, never take it for granted. Anyways, have a happy day.
Well, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching these 2 parts.